Why are you just standing there watching me? It's a little creepy. What the fuck is that? I asked as we reached the top of the hill overlooking a small valley. After the last few hours spent in the bunker, Sapphire was able to help me out a lot. She'd shown me more about using melee weapons and helped me with ranged weapons too. She also explained to me how SATs worked so I'd have a better understanding on how to use the Pip-Buck's targeting spell. Now, Stardust and I were close to stable 9. He wasn't in a good mood. After he was told he couldn't bring his rifle, he almost lost it on Sapphire. The sky was dark, but pretty soon it'd be dawn and the clouds would illuminate the land with its eerie light. The plan Sapphire set up for us seemed like it could work if done right. I looked down at the valley that lays at the bottom of the large mountain. The plan was starting to look more and more dangerous as I observed the area. Fiends set up what they could only be described as a town at the base of a mountain. It stretched out halfway across the valley. It pulled out a pair of binoculars Sapphire gave me and looked down towards the base of the mountain. There were 3 large structures that looked pre-war. The fiends built wooden towers around them, along with shanties around the base. From there, a large makeshift arena was set up with stands all around it. Past that, cages were set up along with what looked like a guard shack, then more shanties. These ponies were really giving the raiders a run for their money. Ponies dressed in makeshift armor walked around everywhere, each one carrying a rifle or pistol and a bladed weapon. These ponies meant business, or slaughter. However, each one looked like they could be ready for a fight. Unlike the raider camp, they didn't shunt each other. They talked and joked with one another. It almost looked like they liked each other, but I doubted that. There has to be at least 100 ponies down there, I said as I gawked at the multitude of ponies. It's probably more like 50 or so. The size of that place is the way that they have the guards set up makes it look like it's more than there actually is. It's an intimidation tactic. Great. So I couldn't even count anymore. Are you sure about that? It looks like a hell of a lot more. I'm sure. First thing you learn as a sniper is to count your enemies and to know their tactics. Know your enemy. Knowing is half the battle, he said, taking the binoculars. As he looked down at the camp, I took a moment to check my Pip-Buck. Its inventory sorting was amazing. I really didn't have the time to play around with it, but somehow it knew everything I had in my saddlebags, and if I clicked on one, it would somehow make it easy to grab. Stable Tech really didn't mess around when it came to making things. I checked through my inventory, making sure I had enough ammo for my weapons. Before we left, I traded most of my inventory, except Old Festus. I left that with Sapphire for safekeeping. To get a couple of weapons that were a lot better than the ones I was using. Now I had a 10mm pistol and a combat shotgun. Sapphire said I did best with those in training. She also gave me a machete just in case I ended up in a close-quarters combat situation. I don't like the looks of this shadow. I wasn't expecting so many of them to be awake at this hour. If we get caught, I'll have to fly us out of there fast. And, without my rifle, I'm helpless. They might not have given you your rifle back, but I'm sure you'll be okay. Plus, they said I could give you one of mine, I said as I gave him the 10mm. He frowned. Seriously? A pistol? I'm a long-range shooter. I don't use pistols. Why'd you leave old Festus there anyway? That would have been better use than this thing. I rolled my eyes. I left it behind because it's special, and the Rangers didn't have any ammo for it. So it's either this or the machete, because I'm not giving you the shotgun. Fine. But only until I can get my rifle back. Or I find another one. Stardust whispered. And why can't I use the shotgun? You said you didn't like close range. And I really like it, I said with a wicked smile. Should we get this over with? I guess. He sighed, looking further up the mountain with the binoculars. It looks like the entrance to the stable is halfway up the mountain. Like Sapphire said, there's a cave entrance there. I'm gonna have to come at it from right above and move fast. There's also a satellite array down there if you didn't see it. Looks like they have lookouts placed on them. If you go fast enough, we should be okay. I've seen you fly. You can do it. So what's the problem? Problem is, I'll be carrying you. And I don't know how far in the stable door is, or if there's going to be any pony in there guarding the door. We'll have to go in fast and land fast. You'll need to be prepared for that. Be ready for a fight, too. I can do it. I got your back. He put the 10mm into a makeshift holster on one side of the barding he'd gotten when we left. Thanks, Shadow. Again, before we do this, are you sure you want to go in there? It could end up being a suicide mission. I nodded. Yeah, I'm sure. All right, then. He flapped his wings and took a hold of me. Let's do this. He brought his wings down hard as we blasted skyward. I'm so glad I'd gotten used to flying, because the force alone would have been enough to make me pass out a couple days ago. He was moving so fast I had to squint my eyes as we landed, headed towards the cloud cover. I looked at him, expecting him to be doing the same, but he wasn't. His eyes were wide open, and they were darting everywhere as we came closer to the clouds. Pegasi eyes must be different than a unicorn's, I guess. Made sense, though, since they were born to fly like this. We reached the very edges of the clouds when Stardust suddenly stopped ascending, his wingtips just brushing the underside of one of the clouds. I looked down at the small dots of lights below. I thought we were going to use the clouds as cover. This mission was dangerous enough already, without pissing off the Enclave. I'm already too high as it is, he said, looking down like I was, angling his wings some. Can you even see where we have to land from this high up? A long sigh escaped his lips. Shadow, can you just trust me, please? Even a little bit? I shut my muzzle and just nodded up at him. Thank you. Now try and keep your eyes open. This is going to be fast and scary. So don't scream, and if you barf on me, I'll drop you. I'm serious. Before I could utter a protest, he did a backflip in the air and folded his wings. I wanted to scream as we started falling towards the ground, and then I remembered what Stardust said and decided to scream on the inside. Stardust moved his wings and pumped them hard, sending us down faster and faster. Okay, we were gonna die, and paint the ground red in a matter of seconds. At the last moment, Stardust snapped his wings open, changing our fall into a fast-moving dart towards a hole in the side of the mountain. We moved so fast I didn't even see the opening before we were already inside of it. Thanks Celestia, the door to Stable 99 wasn't right in the mouth of the cave. Stardust flapped hard, trying to slow down, slamming his hind legs in the ground to help. We skidded along the ground a few feet before crash landing. I rolled a couple of times, the rocks of the cave floor bruising my sides. Finally, I came to a stop next to Stardust, who was still on his hooves. Did you really have to drop me? I complained as I got up. It was either that or risk both of us crashing, he said with a stupid grin. Ha ha, very funny. Did anyone see us? Don't think so. No pony shot at me when I zoomed by the guard tower at least. I'd say we're safe for now. But let's not stick around and find out. I agreed with him on that one. I brushed myself off and started working my way towards the tunnel, Stardust close behind. The stable door wasn't much further, and no pony was guarding it. I found that a little strange at first. Then again, why guard something you can't even get into? I looked at the large gear-shaped door with the number 9 on it. I'm glad it's shut. Why's that? It means we won't have to worry about running into any of those fiends in there. If we're lucky, this should be quick and easy, I whispered. Did you have to say that? What? I said, giving him a look. Never say things like that. Now something's gonna go horribly wrong. Oh, don't be such a baby, I said, walking up to the panel that opened the stable. When some pony says something like, nothing shouldn't go wrong, it always does. Knock on some wood before it's too late, he said in a panic, looking around the cave. I pulled the connection wire out of my pip-buck and hooked it up to the door. You can be superstitious if you want. I don't believe in that crap. He turned his head around to look at me, saying, Yeah, you say that now. until something does go wrong. Then you'll be sorry. Ignoring him, I looked down at my pip buck. It lit up and started doing something. Connection complete. New stable found. Stable 9. Status sealed. Last opened. 20 years, 3 months, 2 days. Admin override in progress. Admin login not accepted. Password required. Run override. Yes, no. Okay, that was new. I clicked on the yes and watched as a bunch of zeros and ones ran across my screen. I waited for a good minute before my pip-buck dinged and brought up a whole list of numbers, symbols, and words. What the fuck? I asked, looking down at my pip-buck in confusion. It was just like the locked terminal back at the bomb shelter, only this time the words were way longer than before. Stardust walked over and looked over my shoulder. That's hacking software. You've got to find the right password in there, and normally you only get 4 tries before you get locked out. If you can't find it by the 3rd try, you need to back out and try again. I looked up at him. You know this how? I do read, you know. Where did you read that? I asked. Big Book of Arcane Science and Technology. It's standard reading in school for any Colton filly, he said, giving me a funny look. I laughed at him. Yeah, maybe in your stable. I went back to my pip-buck and tried what he said. The first word I tried failed, so I did the next. I cursed under my breath and took a moment to read through the remaining words. There were 6 left, but 1 caught my eye. I tried it and it failed. I'd have to back out again until I got it right. Time wasn't on our side. We couldn't sit here all morning till I figured it out. Celestia or Luna, if you're up there and care even a small bit about me, please let this work. I prayed to the goddesses. I went down to the word everlasting. My pip-buck dinged. Password accepted. See? That wasn't so bad, was it? I said with a smirk. Reaching out with my magic, I pulled the lever to open Stable 99. There was a hiss, and the door screeched as it started to pull away from the opening. Right then, all hell broke loose, as the door rolled away. A loud alarm blared from the outside. Fuck! Get inside, now! Stardust yelled, running past me. There was no chance the guards didn't hear that. Hell, I bet the whole camp could hear it, as how loud it was blaring. I ran inside after Stardust. He moved up to the panel inside Stable 9 and pulled the lever. The door started to roll shut, but not before I heard ponies yelling from the mouth of the cave. I was happy once again that Stable 9 was further back. They wouldn't be able to make it here before the door closed again. I ran up next to Stardust and watched as the door slowly shut. Right before the large drill pushed it back into place, I could swear I saw something shimmer past the rim of the door. Yellow and red lights were flashing all around us, so I figured it must have been my eyes playing tricks on me. Shadow, use your pip-buck and seal the door again, so they can't follow us inside. Right. I plugged my pip-buck back into the panel and disabled the panel outside. When I was finished, the alarm stopped. I guess getting out of here is going to be a lot harder than I thought. Maybe. We could get lucky, though. With the stable sealed again, they might not even know any pony came in. We can only hope, I said, looking around the entrance. It looked just like Stable 28's. At least things look the same as my stable so far. That's one good thing. Let's hope it stays that way. Do you see anything on your EFS? I hadn't even looked into it. On second thought, why did he think of it first? With all the red bars I was seeing before we came in, I had been ignoring the EFS. I looked around, but nothing showed up. No sign of life. At least not within range, that is. Well, let's get this over with. I spent enough time in a stable, and I'd like to get out of here as soon as possible, he said, frowning, some while we made our way towards what should be the atrium. A white bar flashed on my EFS. I stopped, looking around, but the white bar was gone. What the fuck was that? What? Stardust asked, looking back at me. I'm not sure. Something went by on my EFS. I thought this place was abandoned. I did too. Raising my voice, I yelled, "Hello? Is any pony here?" No pony answered. Stardust pulled out the 10mm and chambered around. Maybe something is here, and is messing with the tracking spell? Let's be safe. I say keep your shotgun out. I took out my shotgun and held it in my magic. We walked through the first couple sets of doors and into a long hallway. Okay, this is definitely not right. There should be an atrium here, not a hallway with windows and doors on each side. Walking up to one of them, I looked into it. I saw a skeleton of something I didn't recognize. Stardust walked up to the one across the hall. Shadow, come take a look at this. I walked over and looked in, then backed away, feeling sick. Inside the room, the walls were splattered with dried blood. At least 8, maybe more ponies had been ripped to shreds. Entrails were hanging all over. Bones were crushed and broken on the floor. And dried up pieces of skin lay in tatters all over the place. In all this mess, though, 8 pony heads were lined up neatly in a row, looking out towards the glass from the middle of the floor. What the fuck were they doing in this place? I'm not sure. But did you notice that even after 20 years, those heads still look fresh? He said, still looking in on the carnage. I bet the room is sealed airtight, preserving the heads. This is just sick. I'm not sure I want to go any further. This place is probably haunted or something, I said, shaking a little. I've seen the way raiders lived. That was hard enough as it was. They were crazy ponies, though. This was disturbing. Who locks up ponies in a room and lets them get slaughtered like this? Out of nowhere, a high-pitched roar filled the air. It carried on for what felt like forever, chilling me to the bone. As the roar started to die down, my EFS went crazy, red and blue bars flashing everywhere. Then without warning, it shut off. I looked down at my pip-buck. It had a message on the screen. Warning. High levels of electromagnetic waves detected. Pip-buck 3000 Mach 2 going to safe mode. Then it just shut off. What the fuck was that? And what the fuck is this? I was scared out of my mind, looking down at horror at my useless pip-buck. I'm not sure, but I think maybe we should go. Fuck the Elder and what she wants. I'd rather risk my life with the fiends, he said, turning back towards the door. When he did, the sliding door that led to the exit slid shut and locked in front of him, trapping us. Well, we're not getting out that way. I took a moment to take a deep breath and sighed. Okay, we're trapped in a stable with some kind of monster. My pip-buck isn't working, and we have no idea where to go next. Now what? Whatever the fuck that thing was, I really don't want to run into it. Can't you do something like teleport us out of here? Nope. Whatever that thing did, it's making my magic go nuts. It's taking most of my concentration just to keep my telekinesis up and holding my shotgun. I don't think I'd be able to teleport us out of here anytime soon, I said, starting to laugh uncontrollably. Yep. For some reason, I found this all kind of funny. Shadow, this is nothing to laugh at. You said something would go wrong, and it has. In a really fucked up way, too. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess all we can do is stay here like scared little foals, or we can go on and try to find a way out of here, I said, still giggling as I walked past him. You're crazy. You know that, right? He said, following close behind. Maybe, but at least I'm an optimist. He sighed. You're gonna get us killed. This wouldn't have happened if you hadn't knocked on wood. Knocking on wood is sacred, like a coin flip. It's possible, but we aren't going to get out of here just sitting around. We have to find the Overmare's office and see if we can override the door. While we do that, maybe we can find that pip-buck the Elder wants, and hopefully not run into whatever made those noises, I said, trying my best to stay positive. Fine. But if I get killed, I'm haunting you, he said, walking down the hallway. Go ahead. See if I care. I've already learned how to ignore you when you're being annoying. How bad could a ghost you be? I just don't want to be lonely, he said with a sarcastically sad face. The next room was the atrium. It was set up similar to 28, but way scarier. Like I expected, the atrium looked like no pony's been here in a long time. The walls were dirty, rotting food was still on some of the tables, Cole's toys lying around. It looked like they left in a hurry, just like Sapphire told us. The scary part wasn't that, however. It was the pony skeletons. There were at least 20 lying around, most of them ripped apart by something. 2, however, were sitting at one of the tables. They must have been the first to die by whatever did this. The 2 skeletons were sitting at the table, their heads lying on their plates. Dried, flaky blood pooled under their bodies. The longer I'm in this stable, the faster I want to leave, I said, walking slowly around the bodies. I couldn't agree more. Which way do you think the Overmare's office is? Stardust said, looking closer at one of the skeletons, making ridiculous faces at the skull. I thought you would know. You lived in a stable too. Yeah, but mine was way different than this, he said nonchalantly. Mine too. But if we're lucky, then the Overmare's office should overlook the atrium. I looked up, and sure enough, there was a large, round, dirty window. See? Right up there. Stardust flapped his wings. Well then, let's get this over with and get the fuck out of here. He went to lift me into the air when we heard something skittering from above us. Did you hear that? I squeaked out in fear. Shadow? Look up. I did. And I really wished that I hadn't. Hanging from the ceiling were dozens of large, bat-like creatures. They had large fangs poking out of their mouths, very large ears, and blood-red eyes. Worst of all, they were all looking down at us, one licking its maw. Fuck! 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 We have to get out of here! Now! Stardust yelled, grabbing hold of me and pulling me towards one of the open doors. One of the creatures fell from the ceiling and landed on top of Stardust, knocking him to the ground, and throwing me into one of the tables, knocking the 2 dead ponies over, scattering their bones. I got back to my hooves, using my magic to pick up my shotgun, turning to see that the bat was trying to sink its large fangs into him. Shoot the fucker! I ran closer, raised my shotgun, and fired. Its head burst like a rotten piece of fruit. Bone, blood, and gray matter blasted all over me. The body fell on top of Stardust. At the sound of the shotgun going off, the rest started to fall towards us. Loud, ear-splitting screeching filling the air. The sound made my ears ring, but that wasn't the same sound I heard before. Stardust got to his hooves. Run, Shadow! He pulled out the 10mm and started to fire, moving back towards one of the side doors. I followed, running up and opening it. Thanks to Celestia, it still worked. We both ran inside, shutting it behind us. Okay, I really don't want to be here anymore, I said breathlessly. They look like blood wings, but smaller. Good thing you got that thing off me. A few seconds later and I would have been sucked dry. Blood wings sounded familiar. I reached into my saddlebags and pulled out my copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide. I turned to the chapter on beasts to be wary of in the wasteland. Bloodwings. Bloodwings are one creature in the wasteland that you should always do your best to watch out for. Personally, I'm not sure where they originated from, but I am sure that they mutated from vampire fruit bats. They started to show up a few years after the megaspells. They're as big as your average pony, sometimes bigger, extremely fast flyers, and can suck the blood from your veins faster than you can scream. If you happen to run into one, be sure to kill it quickly, then run like hell. Bloodwings are rarely ever found alone. They're also a lot smarter than you would think. They also are known to travel in packs of 3 to 6, sometimes more. One may use itself as bait to pull you into a false sense of security. Don't fall for it. There are always more around, just waiting to fall on you and suck you dry. My word of advice? Find cover if you can, or run like hell. Bloodwings are not to be taken lightly. I looked back at Stardust. They sound and look scary as hell. How the fuck did that many get in here? I thought the stable was sealed. Not sure where they come from. It's possible the stable was it, but I doubt it. Bloodwings have been in the wasteland longer than 20 years, he said, watching the door. But how could they still be alive with no pony to prey on in here? No idea. Maybe we aren't the first ponies to find their way in here. If you unsealed it, it's possible others found a way too. Right now, we don't have time to figure that out. We need to find another way to get to the Overmare's office. If we're lucky, there'll be a way out of here, up there. I was about to tell him that according to my pip buck, the door hadn't been opened for over 20 years, when suddenly there was a loud bang against the door behind us, and someone yelling, "Help! Open the door, please!" Okay, can Bloodwings talk? I asked, watching the door. I don't think so. Open the fucking door, Shadow. I know you're in there, the voice said. This time I recognized it. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, I said, walking back to the door. On the other end, I could hear the screeching from the Bloodwings and something heavy hitting the ground. I reached up to open the door, and Stardust yelled, "What the fuck are you doing? If you open that, those things will get in here." There's a chance we'll have to take. Get ready. I want to do this fast. Fuck, Shadow. Fine. Just do it, he said, readying his weapon. I hit the control for the door. It slid open, and as I expected, Aura was on the other side of the door. She had her back to me, and she was swinging her spear at the bloodthirsty monsters. Each thrust and swing hit its mark, doing damage, but not enough to kill them. 3 of them were lying dead next to her, throats slit. So I guess she got lucky a couple of swings. I pulled out my shotgun and fired as one came charging at her. My aim was true when the creature's head exploded, its body sliding to a halt right in front of her. I could hear Stardust firing rounds behind me. It was holding them back for now, but not doing much damage. Their bodies seemed to have thick hides, protecting them from smaller caliber ammunition. My shotgun seemed to do better, but only at close range. "Aura, get in here now!" I yelled, firing another as it came flying at us. The griffin moved past me as the Bloodwings swarmed us. I blasted a couple more shots, then the gun clicked. Shit! I'm out of shells! One of them attacked, throwing us through the door. The large bat screeched in my face, its large fangs inches from my eyes. I pushed it back, but it was a lot stronger than me. I tried to use my magic to push it away or strangle it. Pain shot through my horn and into my head as my magic backfired on me. I screamed and recoiled, everything around me going red. The monster screeched, making my head pound even more. It bit down on my shoulder and neck. I screamed again as the pain of its long fangs digging deep into my flesh, along with the agonizing pain running through my head. It looked at me, then started to suck. It felt as if I was being drained. My body was instantly weak, my vision fading. A growing lance shot over my face and pierced the blood-sucking monster right through the eye, the tip protruding out the back of its head. It shook, then fell on top of me, its fangs still stuck in my shoulder. Instantly, Aura was next to me, looking me in the eyes, her head coming down to checking to see if I was still breathing. Then, when she was satisfied that I was still alive, she looked back to where Stardust was. "She's alive, but her breathing's slow and shallow. Make sure the door stays shut. We've got to keep those ugly motherfuckers out of here." "Who died and you made you boss, Griffin?" he asked. Their voices sounded like I was listening to them from underwater. Aura looked back down at me. She actually looked worried. Last time I saw her, she wanted to capture me or kill me. I wasn't really sure on the details. Now she looked like she was really caring about what happened to me. I gave her a stupid smile, then moaned and felt like screaming again as my head pounded from backfiring magic. "She's in a lot of pain. I'm sure she lost a lot of blood, too. So we'll have to find her some place that she can get patched up," Aura said, putting her paws. I don't know what to say when you had both. "Are you even listening to me, Griffin? Why should I do anything you say? And how did you get in here? Shadow resealed the stable when we got here. There's no way you could have gotten in without Shadow letting you in.
I used a stealth bug to get in. I've been following you two since you came out of that valley with the sandstorms. You need to trust me. I have a little medical training and I've seen what bloodwings can do to a pony. She's lucky that thing didn't kill her quicker. It seems to be young. It's small for a bloodwing.
That explains the white bar on my EFS when I first entered the stable. It must have been Aura sneaking in as the door of the stable shut. Stardust walked in my sight, getting right in the Griffin's face.
Why were you following us? Does this really matter now? Shadow needs my help. And rest. She's lost a lot of blood, and it looks like her magic's backfired too. Not to mention there are still a few bloodsuckers right through that door trying to kill us. We don't have time to be playing this game,
she said, not backing down. He cursed, stomping the ground with a hoof.
Fine, but I'm keeping my eye on you. Can we at least pull that thing off her?
Yeah, that'd be great, I said weakly. It was starting to get heavy, and it wasn't really a wonderful feeling having those fangs still lodged inside my shoulder.
Not yet. I have a few medical bandages in my bag, and a couple of healing potions. But once I pull the fangs out of her, she'll bleed a lot. Let's get her to a room where it's a lot safer before we risk her bleeding out.
How the fuck do you expect us to do that?
I can't lift that thing and her at the same time, and keep the fangs in her,
Stardust protested. Aura only smiled as she swung the spear blade down, around, and chopped the head off of the beast. Blood pooled all over my courier duster and barding. She kicked the body aside and smiled back at Stardust.
Problem solved. Any more complaints? Any more complaints?
Stardust mocked, rolling his eyes and moving closer to me.
Hey, Shadow. How you holding up?
I feel like shit.
Sorry about that. And this too,
he said, lifting me up and tossing me onto his back. The head of the bloodwing came with me, still lodged deep into my neck and shoulder. I felt like screaming from the renewed pain, but my body was just too weak for that. I was, however, able to pass out. I woke up on a smelly bed. I looked around, sitting up, then fell back to the bed as pain shot up my leg and my head. I looked at my shoulder, seeing a thick, bloody bandage over the area I was bitten at. Aura came into the room, followed close behind by Stardust. How long was I out? I asked, watching the two strolling in. The room I was in reminded me a lot of my own quarters in Stable 28. Only it was a lot darker, smelled like mildew, and looked like no pony had cleaned it in years.
A couple hours at least,
Stardust said, walking up to me and sitting down.
Luckily, the Griffin here was able to patch you up quickly, and she had a couple healing potions with her as well. I do have a name, you know, she said, pushing him aside and checking my bandages. Does it still hurt?
I looked up at the dark-colored Griffin and nodded.
A little.
More sore, though. Not horrible pain like before.
Good to know. Bloodwing bites don't heal well normally. That is, if you're lucky enough to survive one. This'll take a couple of days to stop hurting, and it might cause problems with walking every now and then. However, I think it was able to keep the muscles from tearing when I removed the fangs. So, I think you'll be okay.
Not to sound ungrateful or anything, and I'm happy you were able to help me, but I have to ask. Why are you following us, and why did you come into the stable? Last time I saw you, you wanted to turn me in for a bounty, I asked, sitting up a little. She frowned and looked down at her talons.
Honestly, I owe you my life for saving me after your friend caved in my side. No one's ever done anything like that for me before, especially a pony I was hunting. Now I owe you again for opening that door when I got stuck in that giant room with those things. I was following you to see about paying back my debt.
If that was the reason, then why didn't you just reveal yourself before?
Good question,
Stardust murmured,
I didn't know how you'd react when you saw me again. I also didn't feel like getting shot at again.
She looked over at her shoulder, glaring at Stardust, who just ignored her.
I figured I'd follow you till I could work up the courage.
I remembered her being a lot more cocky last time I saw her. Maybe this was a softer side she hadn't shown before. Whatever it was, she'd saved my life now, too, by patching me up. It's no big deal, as long as you're not out to kill me or bring me back to my stable. You saved my life today, so debt paid.
It doesn't work like that, Shorty. You were only in danger because I was too stupid to show myself before and got stuck. You saved me twice, and now I owe you for that. It's a griffin's job to pay back our debts, no matter what, she said, standing up straight.
I groaned. That's just what I needed right now. A dangerous griffin follow me around. So, what do you want?
For now, I'm just here to pay back my debt. Apart from that, my business is my own.
Fine. If you can help us get out of this death trap, then you can stay with us.
I'll be keeping an eye on you,
Stardust said, sulking in one corner.
Yeah, I heard you the first time. And I'll be doing the same with you, Cloud Breath,
Aura said, glaring at him again.
The fuck's that supposed to mean?
He asked, his wings fluttering and going straight up. I looked over at him, remembering he'd been shot at in one of the wings. How did he get better so fast?
It means that I find it weird that a Pegasus like yourself is down here with a stable pony. What does the Enclave want with her anyway?
I'm not with them!
He practically yelled.
Yeah, sure. I believe that one. You're not a Dashite, so you have to be Enclave. Unless you got lucky enough to escape them with your cutie mark intact.
I've had enough of this shit. We were in the middle of a fucked up stable. I was hurt, and these two idiots were fighting like a foal, and whatever young griffins are called. I got to my hooves, ignoring the pain. Shut up, both of you! We don't have time for this, and all of your yelling isn't really a great idea either. So please, for now, can you both put your differences aside so we can get out of here? They both looked at me for a long moment. Finally, Stardust huffed and walked over to the door.
Fine. I'll let it go for now. But when we get out of here, we're finishing this conversation.
With that, he walked out of the room. I looked over at Aura. She, in turn, looked away.
You shouldn't be on your hooves yet. You're still hurt.
Yeah, I noticed. But I don't have time to be laying around. I'll be okay for now. We really need to find our way up to the Overmare's office. When we get there, I'll rest. I promise.
Fine, do what you want. But if you end up with a torn muscle or any permanent damage, don't blame me.
I smiled. I won't, and I'll be careful. What should we do now?
I'm following you, Shorty. I don't know anything about stables. If you need something killed or need to be patched up, then ask me. Apart from that, I got nothing,
she said, still looking away. I changed the subject as I started to pick up the stuff from my side of the bed. My barding and courier duster were soaked in blood. I still slipped it on, ignoring the crunching and smell coming from my clothes. What kind of weapon is that spear of yours? I've never seen anything like it. She picked it up from where it rested against the wall. It wasn't glowing like earlier. She showed it to me.
It's a magical energy spear. It's great for close quarters combat and perfect for high-speed flying.
I made my way to the door, Aura walking in front of me with the spear on her back. Where did you get something like that? I asked as I peeked out the door.
A friend of mine made it for me.
Wow. How do I get my hooves on something like that? How much does this friend of yours charge?
Just drop it, okay?
Her body got tense when I spoke, and I could see her eyes watering a little. She was trying to hide it, but I could tell she was trying not to cry. I lowered my head. I'm sorry. If it's a touchy subject, I'll let it be. A long sigh came from her, and she looked back at me.
She's gone. That's all. She was a good friend of mine, and I really don't want to talk about her right now.
I think I could understand. I know it would be hard for me if something ever happened to Balefire or Milkshake. They were my only friends in the stable, and losing them would be horrible. Now that I think about it, they may not be gone, but I did lose them. There was no way I could ever go back to Stable 28. They might be alive, but I'd never see them again. I'm sorry for what happened to your friend.
Don't worry about it. It was a long time ago.
I wanted to ask her more, maybe get to know her better, but I had no idea where to start. She was really closed off, just like Stardust. Apart from them being here to help me, I didn't really know anything about them. I called Stardust my friend, but in reality, he was a mystery to me. We rounded a corner and found Stardust sitting next to another door. We walked up and I looked down at him. You okay? He looked sick. Even his voice was shaky as he said,
Don't look in the room.
I looked over at the closed door.
Why?
Trust me. Just don't look. It's really bad. Some pony here was sick. Whoever the fucker was. They were seriously mental or something.
I'm not sure why, but I had to see this for myself. So I walked towards the door. I'm not sure what it is, but I had to know. If I was going to make it in the wasteland, I had to harden myself. I reached up and pressed the switch to open the door. The first thing that hit me was the horrible odor. It smelled like rotting meat and mold. What my eyes met, I don't think I'll ever forget. The door slid open slowly, making a sucking sound. The room looked like it had been a stable's clinic. Inside, though, was a sight from a horror story. The floor was littered with old, dead corpses. Some were wearing doctor scrubs, others nurses' uniforms. Black, dried blood covered every inch of the floor. On one side of the room, I could see cribs for newborn foals. Hanging over each one were the dead bodies of 10 foals. Spikes were driven through their heads, attached to chains that were connected to the ceiling above. Under them, in the cribs, were heads of ponies. Each crib had a mare and a stallions. Whoever did this killed the foals and their parents, putting them on some kind of gruesome display. I looked over to the other side, and next to the cabinets where medical supplies would be kept, some pony nailed several hooves to the wall, using them to form a message. Join me or die. Turning my head quickly, I threw up, walked back and away from the door. I looked away for a long moment, breathing heavily. I spit on the ground, trying to get the taste of bile out of my mouth, then wiped my lips with a hoof, finally saying, if I ever find out who did this, and he's still alive, I'm going to make him pay. Aura only saw the room for a moment when I first opened the door. She looked away quicker than I did. She was also sitting on the floor, shaking violently. As I spoke, she said,
Same here. How could anyone do that to children?
I walked back into the room, doing my best to keep my stomach contents down, what little was left at least. I ignored the crunching of the 2-decade-old blood as I walked up to the hanging foals. They'd almost mummified, being stuck in the sealed room for so long. I tried to use my magic to pull them down from the chains, but I still couldn't draw on it without my head starting to pound. I slumped to the floor and started to cry. Stardust came in. He still looked ill, but he walked up to me and put a hoof on my shoulders. Then he flapped his wings, and one by one, he unchained the dead foals and slowly lowered each one to the ground. When he was done, he finally spoke. If we find a way out of here, maybe we can find a way to give them a proper burial. If not, at least this is better than them being stuck up here. Thanks, Stardust, I said, getting up. Let's get going. You should go wait in the hall. I'm going to see if I can find a different way out of this. I don't really want to go back into the atrium if I can help it, he said, patting my shoulder again before walking away. I watched him go. Then I looked back to the little bodies lying on the floor. I bowed my head and whispered a prayer to Celestia and Luna to watch over their souls. I got to my hooves again and started to make my way towards the hall My eyes fell on the chem cabinet. I walked over to it and tried to open it. It was locked. Luckily, I never went anywhere without my trusty screwdriver and bobby pins. I pulled it out and got to work on the lock. I wasn't sure why I did. I guess I was just something to distract me from the horror around me. Aura walked in, watching me.
What are you doing?
My magic was still weak, but I could at least still handle the tools to work the lock. It took most of my concentration to work it. I worked the tight lock slowly as I did my best to get the pins just right. It turned more, then, snap. The bobby pin broke.
Damn it,
I said, tossing the bobby pin away.
Hello, Griffin to Shrimp. What are you doing?
I sighed, pulling my last bobby pin from my bag and going back to it. Picking the lock. There might be something useful in here.
Sounds stupid to me. Do you think you'll find something when this place looks like it does? I'm sure whoever did all this shit took everything worth taking.
I just rolled my eyes and ignored her. What did she know anyway? Even if there wasn't anything here, I'd rather sit here trying to pick this lock than think about the crap going on around me right now. Anything to keep my mind busy was good for me. Finally, the lock gave a satisfying click, and I pulled the bobby pin out and smiled back at Ara.
Say what you want, but I win.
And I pulled the cabinet open, showing her what was inside. I was surprised myself. Inside, there were at least 20 healing potions, about the same amount of Radaway and a few other chems I hadn't seen before. I looked back at her again with a cocky smile, her cocked head to one side.
Ah, well, will you look at that? There's stuff in there after all.
I stuck my tongue out at her and winked, pulling out all of it and putting it in my saddlebags. When I could get my pip-buck back up, it could sort it all out. Doing my best not to look at the bodies surrounding me, I walked past Aura and back into the hall. She followed me, keeping close while watching me. I went back to the room I woke up in and sat on the bed. I started fiddling with my pip-buck. Aura watched me for a bit as I worked. She kind of creeped me out, just standing there, watching me. I looked up at her and said, "What?" She gave me a look.
Ah.
Why are you just standing there watching me? It's a little creepy. She looked away.
Not like I have anything else to do while we wait around.
I looked back at my pip-buck, trying to get the thing to turn back on. You could at least sit down or something, not just stand there, staring. Didn't your mother ever tell you that's rude?
Ha! Nah. She taught me things like how to stay alive.
Well, it's rude, so please stop. She rolled her eyes and turned her head.
Whatever. I'm gonna go see what that Pegasus is up to. Wait here till I get back. You really shouldn't be moving around too much with those wounds. Also, drink another healing potion. Maybe that'll help.
I gave her a small nod, still watching my screen of my pip-buck. She walked out of the room, heading down one of the halls. As I worked, I pulled a healing potion out and drank it, feeling its magic working slowly on my wounds. I didn't really care right now. All I cared about was getting my pip-buck working. I've gotten used to my EFS telling me if some pony was hostile or not, and if I was going to run into some pony around a corner, it'd also be nice to have Sats back. For some reason, even though I hadn't had a pip-buck very long, I felt naked without EFS or Sats. It seemed like the spell matrix wasn't connecting right or something. Fuck, I wish I knew more about pip-bucks. What I really need is a pip-buck technician, but finding one in the Equestrian wasteland was highly unlikely. I mean, how many pip-buck technicians are just out there slaying monsters and trying not to get killed by raiders or bloodthirsty creatures? I groaned and rolled onto my back, hitting my pip-buck against the side of the bed. It made a loud beep. I lifted my foreleg and looked at the screen. Pip-buck 3000 Mark II. Safe mode active. Do you wish to exit safe mode? Yes, no. Really? I've been trying everything I could think of to get this thing back on, and all I had to do was hit it with something hard? The goddesses hated me. They had to, because this was all just messed up. I clicked on the EFS and clicked yes, and watched it do the rest. After a minute, the screen was normal again. I activated my EFS and saw it was working again. What the fuck made this thing go nuts like that in the first place? I thought the pip bucks were impossible to break or mess up like this. Oh well, at least it was functioning again. I got to my hooves and walked into the bathroom that was adjacent to the bed. When I walked in, I took a look in the mirror. It was dirty, so I wiped it off so I could get a better look. The first time in the past few days I was able to get a good look at myself since I left Stable 28. I looked like hell. My once beautiful silver mane was dirty. Dried blood turned the lower half of my braid brown. My tail wasn't much better. The barding and duster was all soaked with dry blood. I had a sunken look to me, as if I hadn't slept in days. I just shook my head and looked away. One thing I always prided myself on was my mane. It was the one thing I always found pretty about myself. My mother was the one who always told me how much she loved my mane, the way it looked almost sparkly in the light. Now it was a mess. I knew it was kind of pretty, though. But I didn't really care. Not right now. I looked up again, and took one last look at myself. I had to let it go, but it was hard. I'm not a stable pony anymore. I can't keep acting like one. I was in the wasteland now. The dead land of Equestria. The wasteland was a hard place to live in, with no place for a soft pony. I looked away and walked back out of the bathroom. I was done being soft. It was time to find that pip buck, avoid or kill whatever made that noise earlier, and get the fuck out of this place. I saw a white bar on my EFS. As I walked back into the bedroom, I wondered if Aura made her way back to check on me. I headed towards the door, saying, "You weren't gone long. Did you find Stardust?" I rounded the corner. There was a flash, and I blacked out. Slowly, I opened my eyes and found myself in a dark room. Red bars filling my EFS. I jumped to my hooves and went for my shotgun. It's gone. So are my barding and gear. The room was dark. I couldn't see more than a few feet in front of me. What the fuck's going on in here? Why do I keep waking up in strange places with no clothes? "Welcome to Stable 9, child," a stallion's voice said from somewhere above me. "Who are you? And what's going on?" I yelled, looking around wildly. Everywhere I looked, red bars filled my EFS, but I couldn't see any pony. "Pardon my poor manners. You can call me Dr. Cell. I do hope you enjoyed your stay in my stable." "Oh yeah, it was so pleasant. I loved your little greeting party, by the way," I said in a snide voice, slowly walking around the room, keeping my eyes out for anything. "I take it you were the one who was on the other side of the door that kicked me out? Since my head doesn't hurt, I guess you used some sort of knockout spell, so I take it you're a unicorn." "Good deduction, child. It's a spell I came with myself a few years ago. Useful spell for when you're around some of the more monstrous things in here. I'm curious, how did you find your way into this place? The ponies who escaped so many years ago sealed it." His voice was echoing from above me. I wondered if I was back in the atrium, and he was just on the upper walkway. "Hacked it with my pip buck. Didn't take too long, really." "Really? I tried for that the first couple years I was trapped in here with no success. I find it a little strange that a wasteland pony with some random pip buck was able to unseal the stable so easily." "So, he'd been trapped in here for 20 years, all by himself? Fuck, I would have gone nuts a long time ago if that was me." "Oh yeah, he is nuts." Then I remembered the dead foals hanging from the ceiling like some sort of sick ornaments. "Was that you who killed those foals in the clinic?" I asked, doing my best not to hold back my rage. "I found the nursery, I see. A nice bit of art there. Damned foals won't stop crying. Told their parents to keep them quiet, but they wouldn't listen. So I made an example out of them," he said in an amused tone. I stopped trying to fight back the tears as they rolled down my cheeks. I looked up towards the ceiling and yelled, "I'm going to kill you for what you did, you sick bastard! Who puts foals and put them on decoration like that?"
Oh, you misunderstand me, child. I ordered them to be killed. I didn't do the actual killing and decorating. I took over this stable, you see, and whoever runs the stable makes the laws here. Their parents didn't want to listen, so they all died.
Celestia, damn it all. You just told another stable dweller to do it? I find it all hard to believe that other ponies would follow an order like that. I really couldn't be certain about that, though. I knew ponies in my stable that would do whatever they were asked to by the overmare, but I'm not sure if they'd go that far. At least I hope not. A crazed laugh filled the air around me. From that wound on your shoulder, I take it you ran into my pets. Am I correct? And killed a few? They're not so tough without their heads.
Yes, I saw that. You know it's not nice to go around killing someone's pets. Not after a pony put so much hard work into making them. Years spent researching reactions of magical radiation with vampire fruit bats, and you go and kill so many so quickly, he said, still laughing as he spoke. Well, I can say it made good data, showing me what I need to improve on them before they're ready for the world outside.
What are you talking about? They're bloodwings. They're already in the wasteland.
Really? I had no idea. I wonder, though, if they're as intelligent or as strong as my creations are. Oh, well, they're only the product of my first and best experiment. Flawed, but a lot easier to create.
Yep, definitely nuts. Nothing you said made sense to me. If only I could find out where he was, then maybe I could teleport up to him and take him out. My magic was starting to feel stronger now, but his voice never seemed to be any closer as I walked around the room. So I did the only thing I could. I kept him talking. So, if you didn't kill those foals yourself, who did?
Oh, right. I'd almost forgotten about that. The whole reason I brought you back here. Yes, I had help back then. My creation did go a little overboard with its orders. But that was a good test day that day. Everything I did, I told it to do and more. I was so proud. It was like watching your own foal do something for the first time. My magic was still weak, but I could feel it was stronger than it was earlier. I reached out and used it to feel for a door, or my weapons. Anything I could use to get me out of this. He said he brought me back here, so I guessed it was in the atrium. Only the emergency lights had been shut off, or some pony moved the tables and bones. Was this creature the thing that forced every pony to abandon this place? Mostly, yes. That and seeing their friends all dying around them whenever I took them out. Not every pony made it out in time, though. The former overmare did something to seal the door before they all made it out, he said, laughing again. Would you like to meet her? Wait, what? Was he telling me that the creature who killed all the ponies in here was still alive? I felt around more with my magic, trying to find anything I could use to get out. One thing I knew for sure, I really didn't want to meet whatever could kill so many so easily. No, I think I'm good, I said, finally finding a door. I tried to push on the button with magic, but it was no good. Without no power, the door wouldn't open. Sorry, I can't let you leave just yet. Tell you what, though, if you get through my experiment alive, then I'll consider letting you be my newest creation. I haven't been able to test my new ideas on a pony since everyone left or died. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass. Don't be silly. It'll be fun. Oh, Sharp! Come on out. This young mare wants to meet you and play. Something heavy landed a few feet behind me. I heard the fluttering of wings and heavy breathing. I turned around quickly and pressed the back to the locked door, doing my best to see through the darkness. A pair of glowing yellow eyes stared back at me out of the darkness. I felt like wetting myself right then and there. I had no weapons, couldn't see, had no idea what the fuck I was about to fight. I suppose for this experiment, it might be a little fairer if I were to turn on some lights. There was a loud hum and bright stable lights came on. I winced at the sudden change in lighting. When I could see properly again, what I saw was something like out of a nightmare. It looked like it'd been a pony at one time, but I had no idea what I'd call it now. The pony creature wasn't much bigger than I was.
It used to be a Pegasus from what I could tell, only instead of having soft feathers like Stardust, the thing had large bat wings. Its yellow eyes had slits for pupils, its ears were twice the size of a normal pony's, large tufts at the tips, large fangs like the blood wings had been poking out of its muzzle. Its body had part of a pony's dark gray coat mixed with what looked like scales running from its chest down under its belly. The long mane was maroon and shaggy. On the ends of its forelegs, two sharp-looking bones jutted out at the end of its hooves. It opened its maw into a kind of smile, showing me rows of sharp teeth. Then it screeched at me. I could see something sparkling around its neck as it did. Right then, my horn felt like it was going to explode. It felt like hot spikes were being driven through my horn, blocking my magic. I crumbled to the ground, screaming as tears filled my eyes from the pain. The screech only lasted a couple of seconds, unlike when we heard it before. I looked up at the monster pony that was slowly starting to walk towards me, and I noticed something. It almost looked sad. Yep, I had to be going crazy. I was seeing emotion in a monster. Sharp here was my first success. She was a young mare that had an accident when she fell into one of our generators, getting electrocuted. I was told by the overmare to help her, so I did. When I showed the overmare my work, she got angry with me, told me I was supposed to cure her, not make her into a monster. So I killed her for saying such horrible things about my beautiful pet. She always had been a good mare. Well, almost always. She was a little hard to control at first, but not anymore. Now she does whatever I tell her to, he said joyfully. I saw Sharp look just to the left of me on the balcony and give a small snarl. She looked away, and I saw she had something around her neck. It was like a necklace with a tiny ruby embedded into it. The pain in my horn went away, and I found myself able to use magic again. Maybe that screech of her wasn't as powerful a second time. My pip-buck was still working, so maybe I was right, or maybe there was something else going on here. I drew on my magic and teleported myself to the balcony above. I ended up behind a tall, middle-aged green unicorn stallion, wearing a white lab coat. He turned when I appeared and yelled, "No fair! That's cheating!" He lifted what looked like my combat shotgun and pointed it right at my face. I hit Sats, then aimed 3 kicks at his face. Time slowed as I activated the targeting spell. I reared around and landed 2 out of 3 of the kicks. He went flying back as the spell finished. Dropping my shotgun, I picked it up with my magic and pointed it at him. He looked up at me with a crazy smile. "Now this just won't do. Sharp, kill her!" I was about to pull the trigger when out of nowhere the monster pony attacked me, one of her sharp bone things spearing right through my already messed up shoulder. I screamed, but managed to keep my magical hold on the shotgun. She pinned me to the wall, her muzzle inches away from mine. I pointed the shotgun towards her and fired. The shot blasted off her, onto me, and sent a few feet to my right. I turned the shotgun around to kill the unicorn, but he was gone. Fucker must have run off when this monster attacked me. I turned to look back at the bat pony monster thing, expecting to see her bloody innards sprawled all over the floor. Shockingly, she was getting back to her hooves. Fuck, I hit her at point-blank range, right in her side. She should be dead, or at least dying. She didn't even look hurt. "You're fucking bulletproof!" I said, backing away, slowly aiming the shotgun right at her head. I got another surprise as she opened her mouth and said in a soft, hissing voice, "Mostly, but not truly. The master wanted to make sure I wouldn't be killed easily, so he spliced a little dragon DNA with mine, mixing it in with the bat's DNA." Well, that explained the scales in the eyes. Her head, however, was still pony-like, and I bet it wasn't as well-armored as her torso. "Good to know," I said, then fired my shotgun again. She jumped into the air, dodging my shot with ease. She dove at me, but I teleported back to the ground level, keeping her in sight when I reappeared. Blood dripped from my shoulder and pain ran through my leg. I was breathing a little harder from teleporting twice now. I can't keep this up. I had to find a way to take her down. She jumped onto the railing, watching me.
Your little magic tricks won't keep you safe for long. How many more times can you do that before you're out of magic? 1, maybe 2 times.
I rose the shotgun towards her, a grin pulling at my lips. Try me, bitch. I can do this all day long. She yawned and grinned, showing those sharp fangs.
You do realize you're going to die today, don't you?
My legs started shaking as she spoke those words. I looked up at her, smiling again. Oh, we'll see, monster. But tell me first, why do you want me dead? She cocked her head to one side.
I don't. Not personally. But it has to be this way.
But why?
My master ordered me to kill you. I have to do what he tells me to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That simple, huh? She rolled her eyes.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Her grin grew wider and her wings opened. She dove at me and screeched. Once again, that pain ran through my horn and head, blocking my magic like before. I fell to my stomach, unable to move. I looked up as death came rushing at me. My shotgun was sitting next to me where it had fallen from the magic's grip. She came at me, her mouth open wide, going for my neck just like the Bloodwing had done. When out of nowhere, Stardust came rushing in, kicking her in the side. The kick sent her flying in the opposite side of the room. He landed next to me, keeping his wings open wide, the 10mm in his jaws. The pain started to recede, and I looked up at him. About time you showed up. He grinned at me and said around the pistol muzzle, Better late than never. Aura walked up to the other side of me. She had her energy spear held in her one talon.
You okay, shorty?
I'm not doing so good, but I'm still alive thanks to the two of you. Sharp got back on her hooves, glaring at us with her glowing yellow eyes.
Oh, look, your friends have finally joined the party.
What the fuck is this thing? Stardust asked, keeping her in his sights. Long story. I'll tell you later. Right now, all that matters is, she's trying to kill me, and her master is getting away. I turned towards Aura. He ran off down one of the upper hallways. Think you can find him? He's an older green unicorn?
No problem. Will you and Cloud Breath here be able to take care of this one?
I've dealt with worse, Stardust said, smiling at the monster pony. She started to laugh, watching us.
Oh, you still don't understand how this game works, do you? You see, if you want to get out of here, you have to kill me.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, I said, mocking her.
No. You see, this is a one-on-one fight. If your friends would have stayed out of it. But since you brought your friends, I have to get mine,
she said, pointing up with her hoof. I realized just then I'd never looked anywhere else in the room, since the atrium, since Sharp revealed herself. I see now that was a big mistake. Above us were at least a couple dozen Bloodwings. They were all hanging from the ceiling watching the fight. They started to fall away, flying around the room. Oh fuck, I said, watching as they circled above us. Shadowstar? Stardust asked. What? I told you to knock on wood. See what happens when you don't listen to me? I looked over at him to see his cocky smile. He wasn't angry. He looked animated, as if this were just another day for him. We were low on ammunition, facing way too many things that wanted us dead, and we were still stuck in this steel death trap. Fuck it. Might as well have some fun before we bite it. I cocked my shotgun, looked over at Aura, who just nodded at me. I aimed up towards the flying death and screamed, Come and get us, you sick fucks! Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Shotgun Surgeon. When using shotguns, regardless of ammunition used, you ignore an additional 10 points of the target's damage threshold.